Welcome to the African History Network show. It is Thursday, February 10th, 2022, and we are live. I saw a story, I think I saw it yesterday. I think I started seeing the story yesterday, Wednesday, then saw it again today. Still with hip hop artist Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg has acquired Death Row Records, which was the record label he started with. And Death Row Records was founded in 1992 by Dr. Dre, Suge Knight, the DOC, and Dick Griffey. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. This is big news, acquiring Death Row Records, because unfortunately, a lot of the music, a lot of the masters for a lot of classic music, a lot of that is not owned by African Americans, even though we're the ones that made the music in the first place. Now, I have some disagreements, of course, with some of the content of the music of Death Row Records, things like that. But you'll have songs that are sampled, what have you. So I'd rather for the record company, for us to own it and maybe do something more positive with it than for it to be owned by other people. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Snoop Dogg acquires Death Row Records, label that launched his career. I'll probably do a follow-up story about this on our Sunday show. And then more and more people are finding out today that a lot of the reports dealing with the Biden administration distributing crack pipes as part of a harm reduction program, a lot of people are finding out that was false in a story pushed by the conservative news organization, the Washington Free Beacon. And it was picked up by Fox News, and Fox News was hammering this on Wednesday. There's a good article from the Washington Post that goes through and separates fact from fiction. I posted it on our Facebook fan page today. You know, we did a big show yesterday dealing with this, dispelling all these myths, taking you through step by step. And a lot of the stories that were put out initially had to be updated or taken down because they were just false. So Washington Post has a good article here. No, the federal government isn't spending $30 million on crack pipes. Now, some people just want to hallucinate this and just keep going with this and just keep pushing it. Maybe it's because they want free crack pipes for themselves. Or, I don't know, maybe a loved one. You remember the song from back in the 90s, Your Mama's on Crack Rock? You remember that song? So maybe it's, maybe they want to cut down on expenses or something. But no, that's not part of this program, even though some people want to hallucinate and make it part of the program. So read this article here from the Washington Post. Is a good piece. No, the federal government isn't spending $30 million on crack pipes. And it goes through and breaks down. I know some people don't like to read, but it goes through and separates fact from fiction. Okay, this is a good piece written by Meryl Cornfield and Mariana Alfaro, okay, for the Washington Post. So there was a good segment on the Black News Channel that I saw today, and it dealt with the harm of disinformation and how disinformation is targeting the African American community. Okay, so we're going to talk some about that as well. How disinformation is targeting the African American community, and this is something I've been talking about for a number of years now, and we have seen this explode with the proliferation of social media. And this played a part in the 2016 presidential election with the fake news stories that were on social media and the conspiracy theory stories and things like this that were just really allowed to run rampant during 2016. But we see, if you read the Mueller report, and I've got my copy of the Mueller report here, because in the Mueller report, as well as there was a U.S. Senate intelligence report that came out about 2017, and it dealt with how the disinformation campaign coming from Russia and coming from the Internet Research Agency, which is a Russian agency, things like this, that disinformation campaign goes back to 2014, and it did not just start in 2016. It actually started in 2014. So we're going to talk some about this, how this disinformation harms the African American community, because your thoughts create feelings, your feelings create actions and behaviors, your actions and behaviors create results, and you make decisions that can have life-altering consequences based upon bad information or just based upon false information. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then there was a piece I didn't get a chance to get to. This is dealing with HBCUs, and we know right around the beginning of African American History Month, there was for 2 days in a row there was a rash of HBCU bomb threats. We know on I think it was Tuesday and Wednesday there was a rash of HBCU bomb threats. Well, the Black Enterprise has an article, and this is the legitimate one because they took down that fake article that they had, citing the Washington Free Beacon. They had to take that article down because it was false information in that, dealing with the crack pipes. Black Enterprise had an article about that, and Roland Martin called them out yesterday on Roland Martin Unfiltered, and then they ended up taking it down because it was just false information. But most of the information they have at Black Enterprise is good. Black Enterprise has this story here. HBCU leaders say they are undeterred by recent string of bomb threats. HBCU leaders say they are undeterred by recent string of bomb threats. Okay, so we're going to talk about this also on Tiffany Cross's show, The Cross Connection, this past Saturday, to discuss this as well. Man, I hate all these ads. So this is one of the reasons why I can't show you articles from Black Enterprise, because all these ads. I like Black Enterprise, but all these ads popping up is annoying. All right, we'll continue this another side of the break. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep, and I'll let you know about the online classes I'm teaching this weekend as well. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. All right, how's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Stand by. All right, stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Okay, who still needs to register for the online classes? I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Next class is Saturday, February 12th. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. How's everybody doing? Okay, who still needs to register for the online classes? I teach them on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm going to post a link here. You can still register. Next class is Saturday, February 12th. As soon as you register, there's archive content, bonus content that you can watch. And you can watch the class we just did this past Saturday. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So we deal with thousands of years of history, and we deal with what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. Stand by. All right, so this class is on sale $80, regularly $130. I'll post the link here. Bathroom break in 2 minutes. Okay, we got Joya. Now, if you've taken any of these classes with me before, email me at AHNShow at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com and you'll get 50% off the bundle pack. We have a course bundle pack when you can register for both classes for $120. That's a $260 value. That's the Sunday class and the Saturday class. You'll get 50% off of, on this if you're a previous student. Okay, stand by. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, February 10th, 2022. Now, I want to remind you, you can still register for the online classes that I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. On Saturdays, it is Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So Kemet's one of the original names of Egypt. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. So we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips, classes on Saturdays. Next class is Saturday, February 12th, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As soon as you register, you can, there's bonus content you can watch. You can watch last week's class, okay? Because this class just started up. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. So visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And on Sundays, I teach from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. That's 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time also. We have a bundle pack where you can register for both classes for only $120. The classes are regularly $130 each. And if you've taken classes with me before, email me at AHNShow at AfricanHistoryNetwork.com and you'll get a 50% discount on the classes in the bundle pack. All right. So I want to jump into this story here dealing with Snoop Dogg. So we got the news on Wednesday that Snoop Dogg has purchased Death Row Records, which is, which is something big. And even though I'm not a fan of a lot of the music from Death Row Records, I think it's important for us to own the company because it was African Americans that created the content, and you can take that, you can take the company and take it into a more positive direction. Okay, so it doesn't have to be what it used to be, but we need to own these. We need to own this music because, you know, I late at night I see the advertisements for the infomercials for the songs of the 70s and the 70s soul collection and all this stuff, and that stuff's coming from Time Warner. Time Warner owns a lot of that stuff. A lot of those songs from the 70s, 80s, you know, those classic songs, a lot of stuff we don't even own, but we were the artists. And I look at the a lot of the artists that they have in there, Billy Paul and you know, they have the Temptations and different things like this, and a lot of those artists have gone on. A lot of those artists have passed away, but their music is still making money for white people because a lot of that stuff we don't own. Okay, so we need to own this music. All right, whatever we do, we need to own it. All right, whatever we do, we need to own it. Okay, so if we look at this article here from the Hollywood Reporter, Snoop Dogg acquires Death Row Records, label that launched his career. The deal, announced Wednesday, February 9th, comes in conjunction with the release of a new album, BODR, short for Back on Death Row, and a wave of NFT offerings. Okay, so this piece is from February 9th, 2022. Now, I know Snoop is going to be performing at the Super Bowl, and I won't be watching the Super Bowl, so I'm not going to see it. Once again, I haven't watched a NFL game since Colin Kaepernick left the league. So Sunday night when I do my show, I'll be wearing my Colin Kaepernick shirt because I ain't watching the Super Bowl. Snoop Dogg is back in business with the label that launched his career. The hip hop mogul has acquired Death Row Records brand from MNRK Music Group, a firm that is controlled by a private equity funds managed by Blackstone. Okay, the Blackstone Group. We're going to talk more about the Blackstone Group on Sunday show, because the Blackstone Group is connected to Core Civic. Core Civic used to be called Corrections Corporation of America, and Core Civic is the largest owner-operator of privatized prisons in the country. But we'll talk about that on Sunday. Now, terms of the deal were not disclosed. Now, Death Row Records was founded in 1992 by Dr. Dre, Suge Knight, the DOC, Dick Griffey, and Dick Griffey. Death Row was among the music industry's highest profile labels for a stretch that decade, responsible for culture shifting releases from Dr. Dre, Snoop, and Tupac Shakur, among others. However, controversy arrived amid a wave of lawsuits and criminal activity, some of which involve co-founder Suge Knight, who remains in prison. Some of it involves co-founder Suge Knight, who remains in prison. Now, Death Row Records ultimately filed for bankruptcy in 2006 and was acquired at an auction 3 years later for $18 million by Wide Awake Entertainment. Now, Death Row Records has changed hands over the years as well, ultimately landing at Blackstone and MNRK. Now, in the statement, Snoop Dogg says the brand has immense untapped value. So look for more samples of it in commercials, because I think it's the Geico commercial. Is it Geico or Progressive? Geico commercial, I think, with Tag Team. I know we're not on Death Row Records, but Scoop, there it is, Tag Team, and then you got Kroger. They sample Flow Rider, Get Low. They sample that, and so we see a lot of it. We see it's one commercial, realty commercial with Big Boy from Outkast. So you're gonna see more. You're gonna see more of this. Now, Snoop Dogg said it feels good to have ownership of the label I was part of at the beginning of my career, and as one of the founding members. Now, this is an extremely meaningful moment for me. And Snoop went on to sign with No Limit Records, Master P, No Limit Records, Interscope, Capitol, Geffen, Priority Records, and Def Jam. So he's been all over the place. He said, I would like to personally thank the teams at Blackstone, MNRK, and especially David Kestenbaum, who worked collaboratively with me over several months to make this exciting homecoming a reality. Now, one of the reasons why this is so important, and this is taking place at the same time that you have Brian Flores, former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, who has filed his lawsuit against the NFL, alleging discrimination when it comes to the hiring of coaches. And I hope he wins. And all this really has to change. This discrimination, this racism in the NFL has to change. But one of the reasons why this is so important is because when we look at the NFL, the real focus in the NFL, so a lot of people are focusing on coaches, okay? And I saw Roger Goodell. We'll talk about this on Sunday. I saw the press conference Roger Goodell held Wednesday with reporters. And a lot of that stuff Roger Goodell said yesterday, he said last year. He said a lot of that stuff last year. Okay. So this is about ownership. I know a lot of people are talking about African American head coaches and more African American head coaches. That's good. But head coaches can be fired. Owners can't. I mean, there's a process to get rid of owners if they violate some ethics clause. But some of these white supremacists, I mean, some of these good old boys, they ain't gonna, I mean, look, there was a private conversation with Donald Sterling, who owned the LA Clippers. He ended up having to sell the team, but what did he get? Something like $200 million for the team. That was a private conversation that got exposed. Okay, I know it's the NBA, but if you own the team, you can hire whoever you want to hire. If you own the team, you can hire whoever you want to hire. So I know I had the article up here. Let me see something here. I know the Dolphins just did a hire. Let me pull this up. There was an article that I had, and I think I took it down. But we know the Dolphins just did a hire, and their new head coach. He did a press conference yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I think he held the press conference yesterday, and he's biracial. Either yesterday or today, he's biracial. Mike McDaniel. Um, Sports Illustrated has this piece here: 5 takeaways from his press conference, because his dad's African American, his mom's white. He's married to a white woman. He identifies as biracial. He's basically gone throughout his life living as a white person. Now, I'm not blaming him for it, but the Dolphins are going to, they're going to say that, okay, let me just put it like this. I don't count him towards the African American coach count. Okay. Now you may say he's a minority. Okay. He identifies himself as biracial. He doesn't identify himself as black. There's not an attack on him, but he's basically gone through out his life living as a white man. And if you saw the press conference that he did today, okay, 5 takeaways from Mike McDaniel press conference. New Miami Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel showed off his personality and sense of humor, blah, blah, blah. Let me see if they talk about this. I know Roland Martin played a segment of the press conference today. Okay, so this is Mike McDaniel here. Okay, this is here. He reminds me of Homer Plessy. Okay, this is Mike McDaniel with his wife and daughter. Okay, so if you just look at him, you won't know really he's African American. All right. So this don't count towards that count. All right, we're coming up on a break here. Stand by. All right, stand by. We're up against a break. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. All right, how's everybody doing? Share this broadcasting on social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in also. We have here. All right, back from break in 3 minutes. Okay, stand by. All right, you can register for the online classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays is ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Stand by. Bathroom break in 1 minute.
Love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Unfortunately, many people confuse what racism is. Racism is a power structure. It was laws and policies that put us in this predicament. It's going to be laws and policies that take us out. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his or her actions because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know.
We have it all on 910 AM Superstation. 910, the Superstation, Detroit's only African-American talk radio.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. Calling numbers 313-587. I'm sorry, 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a question or comment. Okay, I want to go back to this story. I'm going to send you this clip here also here, Shakita, in just a second. I want to go to the press conference. I want to go to the press conference that Mike McDaniel had here in just a minute. I'm going to try to pull that up. All right, calling number is 313-778-7600. So right before the break, we were talking about Snoop Dogg buying back, Snoop Dogg buying Death Row Records, okay? And that was announced on Wednesday, February 9th. And we know he's performing at the Super Bowl as well. Okay, let me close out some of these clips here. So, but this is about ownership. And this is why it's so important when it comes to the NFL. And I know civil rights leaders had a meeting with Roger Goodell a couple of days ago. We'll talk about that on Sunday's show. This is why it's so important that we don't settle for head coach positions, even though there should be more African-American head coaches in the NFL. That's true. But it can't stop there, because the league is between 58% to 68% African-American. And there's never been any African-American owners. And this is about ownership. Okay, this isn't about employees. This is about ownership. Let me see. I'm trying to okay, I'm trying to find the clip. Is it in here? They got the longer clip in here, but I want the shorter clip. All right. Okay. So I'll try to find it. Let's go back to this article here from the Hollywood Reporter. So It was Blackstone's David Kessenbaum, a senior managing director, who returned the favor by praising Snoop Dogg as a legend. He said, "We at Blackstone are strong supporters of the artists and creator community in our entertainment investments. We are excited to put the Death Row Records brand back in the hands of a legend like Snoop Dogg. We wish him success in the years ahead as the brand moves forward under his leadership and vision." Now, MNRK Music Group's president and CEO Chris Taylor praised Snoop as the executive with long-term ambitions to take Death Row into its next 30 years. The deal comes at a busy time for the artist formerly known as Snoop Doggy Dogg. He will perform alongside Dr. Dre and Eminem and Kendrick Lamar and Mary J. Blige as part of the Pepsi Super Bowl halftime show from SoFi Stadium on February 13th. I wonder if they're going to give Colin Kaepernick a shout out. I'm just curious. He is also releasing a new album, BODR, an acronym that stands for Back on Death Row, in partnership with Gala Games, the blockchain gaming platform. Okay, so you check out the rest of this article here. Now, he purchased Death Row for an undisclosed amount, so maybe we'll find out one day how much he paid for Death Row Records. But hey, you know, this is about ownership. This music, I may disagree with some of the lyrics and things like this, and may disagree with a lot of the lyrics, but we need to own it. Take these companies, transform them into something else, transform them into something better. So check out this article here from the Hollywood Reporter from February 9th, 2022. All right. Now I want to go to this next story. So yesterday we spent a good amount of time dispelling these myths, dispelling just this nonsense being pushed by right-wing media, picked up by some African-American social media influencers or whatever you want to call them, and Black Enterprise, and even the Black News Channel, the Shade Room, all this, just putting out this just nonsense. Okay, so most of them took down the articles or greatly updated the articles with accurate, correct information after the White House put out their statement, and Xavier Becerra, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, put out a statement, and Jen Psaki, White House press secretary, was asked about it at the White House briefing yesterday. So there's a good article here from the Washington Post. I encourage everybody to read. And also read the article from the Miami Herald that I talked about on Wednesday's show. No, the federal government isn't spending $30 million on crack pipes. Now, some people may want them to, you know, for various reasons. And some of the comments that I heard from some people, some African Americans who just want to push this myth, if they are African Americans, it could be somebody from Russia posing as African Americans. Just some of the nonsense I saw yesterday. Either that, or maybe they were high themselves, which would explain a lot. Conservative figures have launched an online furor this week, claiming that the government planned to spend $30 million on pipes for smoking crack. The heightened concern came months after the Department of Health and Human Services. We're going to clip number one, Shakita, from the Black News Channel. The heightened concern came months after the Department of Health and Human Services announced a federal grant for local programs that provide myriad harm reduction tools on services that minimize the risks associated with drug use, including distributing paraphernalia such as clean needles. Republicans seized on "quote unquote" crack pipes, and a lot of those Republican senators, especially Republican senators, and a lot of them in the House, like Jim Jordan, Marjorie Taylor Greene, when I hear them, they sound like they're high. That would explain a lot of the craziness that comes out of their mouths. Okay. Now, Republicans seized on crack pipes, causing the phrase to trend on Twitter on Tuesday. The latest in continued the latest in continued resistance from the GOP against harm reduction techniques at a time when people are dying of drug overdoses at record rates in the United States. At record rates in the United States. Now, as you talked about on yesterday's show, in a lot of these red states, they have harm reduction programs, and they're largely targeting white people because they're largely targeting opioid addiction. This harm reduction program here, this $30 million grant, this is targeting underserved populations who are often overlooked when it comes to harm reduction programs. So this is going to benefit disproportionately African Americans and Latinos. As we talked about on Wednesday's show, go back and watch our Wednesday, February 9th show, because I went through and broke this down. In Louisiana, they have a $34 million harm reduction program. And we saw Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, who was on Fox News, attacking this program, but he didn't talk about the harm reduction program they have in Louisiana to save white people's lives. In Florida, you have this harm reduction program from June that was signed into law in June 2019 by Governor Ron DeSantis. This one right here for needle exchanges. Okay, this is largely targeting white people because it's targeting opioid addiction, and a lot of people when their prescription drugs run out for opioids, then they turn to heroin. Okay, well they got this in Florida, but Senator Marco Rubio, little Marco from Florida, was attacking this program, talking about crack pipes, but he didn't talk about the harm reduction program they have in Florida to save white people's lives. We'll continue this on the other side of the break. I want you to hear this segment from the Black News Channel today, where they talked about how disinformation harms Black communities. How disinformation harms Black communities. Listen to the African History Network show. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Okay, stand by. Okay, if you like this type of information, you support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App. $ the AHN show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. All right, back from break in 3 minutes. All right, stand by, everybody. See, this is what they have in Louisiana. This is targeting opioid addiction. So who you think is going to be helped the most from this? All right, back from break in 1 minute. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Thursday, February 10th, 2022, and we are live. Okay, I want to remind you, you can still register for the online classes I teach on Saturdays and Sundays, the online history classes. So these are 10-week online classes that I teach. On Saturdays, it's Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Ancient Kemet, one of the original names for Egypt. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa. Understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. We do this on Saturdays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded, so you can go back and watch it anytime. So a year from now, if you want to go back and watch the full class, you can. So next class is Saturday, February 12th. Then Sundays, it's from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Okay, so you can register for those classes. They're on sale, $80, regularly $130. We also have a bundle pack. You can register for both classes for only $120. And I would say the information is PG-13, so you can use it with your children as well. Okay, I'll post a link here and also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay, so right before the break, we were given an update on the story from yesterday dealing with the harm reduction program that was part of the $1.9 trillion America Rescue Plan that no Republicans in the House or the Senate voted for. And I was talking briefly about this really good article here that came out today from the Washington Post that goes through and really dispels a lot of these myths, a lot of this nonsense floating around on social media that people just kept repeating and didn't do any research. Okay, so no, the federal government isn't spending $30 million on crack pipes. I want to go to this segment here. This is from the Black News Channel from today. And Amisha Cross is on here. I know Amisha, we're sometimes panelists together on Roland Martin Unfiltered. But they talked about how disinformation harms Black communities. Let's go to clip number 1, Shakita.
Started, and some Black media ran with a headline claiming the Biden administration is handing out free crack pipes to drug addicts.
Start that clip from the beginning.
To achieve racial equity. I mean, that's definitely clickable, and it was quickly a trending topic. First reported by the Washington Free Beacon, then picked up by Fox News, Newsweek, even the Shade Room. Black Enterprise ran with it also, but quickly snatched the story down. And here's why. Because it's wrong. The $30 million harm reduction grant is an initiative by the Department of Health and Human Services. Now, in the technical language of the grant, HHS included a reference to how reducing drug-related offenses and deaths would connect to Biden's racial equity goals. That's the whole point. Specifically, on page 12 of the 75-page grant, it reads, the behavioral health disparity impact statement is in alignment with the expectations related to President Biden's executive order advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That's the only mention of racial equity in all 75 pages. So many news outlets took that and ran with the specific right-wing narrative without doing their homework.
Because they're lazy.
That basically means that help will be granted to anyone, regardless of race, religion, or socioeconomic status, that American dream thing. And B, HHS said today, no federal money will be used to put pipes in safe smoking kiss. Joining me now is BNC political contributor Amisha Cross to help us understand how we got to this conversation today. Amisha, misinformation is a thing. What do you know, what do we know about how misinformation particularly targets Black people?
Absolutely, and I'm thankful that you're having this conversation tonight, Naira. The issue that we're dealing with is that the Republican Party has, by and large, known for quite some time that they could target specific fake news, specific misinformation towards Black audiences, and they've done it in large part to diminish Black turnout and Black support of Democrats, and they're doing it right now at hyperspeed with Joe Biden. What we've seen here is, as you stated in your opening, a very small piece of a extremely long document taken completely out of context. We know that harm reduction strategies work first and foremost. They are one of the top priorities when it comes to reducing overdoses, when it comes to making communities safe, when it comes to getting families and communities back on track after someone has suffered from an addiction problem. And that has, by and large, been the case for decades now. Let it be known that America has the largest amount of overdose deaths of any nation in the world. We have to be very clear about what we're facing here. And what Republicans did was racialize what was a non-racialized funding stream, particularly dedicated to addressing the overdose crisis, the addiction crisis we have in America.
What I find really interesting about some of what Senator Marco Rubio was saying, some of what we were hearing on Fox News is about crack pipes, right? Because they didn't talk about, say, meth overdoses or opioid overdoses, issues we know are predominantly white people drug problems and get a lot of attention from those media outlets. So why did they focus specifically on taking this grant and connecting it to crack?
Because the race game is a game that Republicans will never stop playing. It's like Vegas 24/7. They keep cashing in those slots and they keep winning on it. They want to delegitimize African-American communities, African-American families, and showcase brokenness. And what the images of crack pipes does for Americans when they hear it is take us back to the 80s and the 90s. It takes us back to the crack epidemic. It takes us back to people dying in streets with needles in their arms. It takes us back to extreme poverty. It takes us back to those movies that were perpetuated for so long that showcase Black families being broken up by crack and crack babies. And all of those things that have been proven to not only be falsified information in many cases as it relates to the expansion of the crack epidemic, but also to diminish Black people and Black bodies. What we know in these harm reduction strategies is that largely they have honestly been pushed towards white communities as it relates to the opioid crisis, as it relates to those individuals who needed more methadone clinics and things like that, as it relates to trying to build towards a more healthy community for populations that they never criminalized drug abuse for.
Okay, so we're coming up here. We're out of time here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. Those watching on Facebook and YouTube, keep watching. We're going to keep broadcasting for a few more minutes. We'll finish this up. Any more trolls come on like this dumbass I just blocked, you're going to get blocked again. You're showing how ignorant you are. You're probably high on crack rock. That's why you keep spreading misinformation. Now, what I have up right now, this is from Louisiana, where Senator John Kennedy is from. Now, Senator John Kennedy was on Fox News yesterday attacking this program and talking about crack pipes and things like this that don't exist. Yet, he didn't talk about the harm reduction program, this $34.5 million harm reduction program targeting opioid addiction in his state of Louisiana that's largely targeting white people. He didn't want to talk about this. All right. We'll be back Sunday. Thanks for listening to the African History Network show. Remember, right now it's correct. Wrong behavior is not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You sign up for the online classes that I teach, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace. All right, stand by. Okay, so let's continue. Let me cue this back up. We're going to go back to this piece here from the Black News Channel. And this is dealing with how misinformation harms the Black community. And a lot of the most of the trolls I find are on YouTube also, and they just run around with a whole bunch of misinformation, just showing how ignorant they are. Okay, let's go back to this clip.
Extreme poverty. It takes us back to those movies that were perpetuated for so long that showcase Black families being broken up by crack and crack babies, and all of those things that have been proven to not only be falsified information in many cases as it relates to the expansion of the crack epidemic, but also a push to diminish Black people and Black bodies. What we know in these harm reduction strategies is that largely they have honestly been pushed towards white communities as it relates to the opioid crisis, as it relates to those individuals who needed more methadone clinics and things like that, as it relates to trying to build towards a more healthy community for populations that they never criminalized drug abuse for. So we have to be very serious in how we talk about this, because the frustration that all of us should have is that Tucker Carlson talked about it last night and called it basically Biden putting crack pipes in the hands of Black America. Problematic, also conversely very untrue. But what is more angering is that places like BASA, places like Black Enterprise, places like the Breakfast Club, places across that Black people actually look towards for their media, actually picked up and propagated this very hateful rhetoric towards Black people. And now, I have a lot of educated Black friends who are texting me just this morning asking about why Joe Biden was putting crack pipes in the hands of the Black community. These people should know better. But misinformation travels faster than the truth. And I think that we have to do a very good job of distilling and being honest about what's actually at play here, why Republicans are playing this dangerous game, and why African Americans happen to be the target 9 times out of 10.
Well, Misha, you mentioned an important thing there, which is that these same harm reduction strategies are also used in places like Boston to benefit drug users who are white. The problem suddenly came up when it was something that was going to be specifically benefiting or used and targeted for Black and brown communities. It's a grant, right? Federal money going to underserved populations is what got the right-wing attention. So what is then the solution, right? Because this got to the point in less than 24 hours where a anodyne technical grant announcement had to be addressed at a White House podium.
Absolutely, because millions of people shared misinformation. To delve down even further, Republicans have always supported harm reduction strategies because largely they went to their states and their populations. We have Senator Cotton out of Arkansas, huge supporter of it. He's gotten money from it. We have Senator Blackburn, a very staunch conservative out of Tennessee. She supported it. She's gotten money out of it. We have senators across the country who have benefited off of this, from South Carolina on down, and you don't hear any type of rhetoric around it when their populations that are largely white are benefiting. But because the Biden administration noticed, first and foremost, how this allocation was happening, that African Americans were largely, and minorities in general, were largely not receiving the types of supports they needed when it came to drug abuse and addiction services, they are now being demonized by a program that needed this level of funding. It's needed it for a while now, by the same legislators who champion it in their own communities. We should really call this out. We should really call out the Black purveyors of social media who also pass along this misinformation. We're absolutely fine with it.
But we should also look
towards media to do better. Because I was quite frankly shocked that it wasn't only blog posts of, your random idiot X. It was also legitimate sources that decided they were going to jump on this story. It took a minute for there to be a recalibration to the point where you had Washington officials, where you had White House officials have to speak to an insidious lie. Where has America gone where we moved to the point where you've got to address a president who is giving out crack pipes? That's not a thing. We've had a lot of crazy things happen in America over the past 4 or 5 years. One of the things that will never happen is a president giving crack pipes to anybody.
Well, here's what I was telling people earlier, which is that when you see a clickbait headline like that, regardless of the media outlet, go directly to the source. That grant announcement is on the HHH website. It is very easy to access. It is not necessarily easy to understand the technical details, but it tells you what it's about. Effectively, it's about making sure that fewer people end up in prison or dead because of drug use. And I think that's something we can all agree on, that harm reduction is a good thing. BNC political contributor Amisha Cross, thanks.
All right. Good segment there. Naira Hawk was the anchor there, and Misha Cross, political consultant. So that's from the Black News Channel. That's a good segment. Now, Misha talked about something. Now, that segment's from today. Misha talked about something today that we talked about on yesterday's show. This is why these idiots, these social media pimps and whores, these black social media pimps and whores, they keep putting this nonsense out here, have no idea what they're talking about, and they don't study politics. So one of the things we talked about on yesterday's show is how a lot of these Republican senators have harm reduction programs in their communities, in their states, that are targeting opioid addiction, which largely affects white people. Now, Senator Marsha Blackburn was on Twitter. She was on Fox News, and she was on Twitter on Wednesday, and she was talking about Joe Biden's going to give crack pipes and all this nonsense. But and I want to go to her Twitter page here to see if I can find this. But this is a program that's in her state of Tennessee. And see, people don't follow politics enough to know this stuff. You know, that's why a lot of people just need to stay in your own lane. If your lane is talking about who's sleeping with who, just stay there. Okay? If your lane is sports, just stay there. Don't jump on stuff like this, because you jump in and don't know what you're talking about. Let me see something here. Yeah, Senator Marsha Blackburn. Okay, Tennessee. Now, this is a program in Tennessee, Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. Regional Overdose Prevention Specialists. Okay, Regional Overdose Prevention Specialists, ROPS, are located throughout the state of Tennessee throughout the state of Tennessee as a point of contact for training and education on opioid overdose and for overdose prevention through the distribution of naloxone. From October 2017 through June 2021, the regional overdose prevention specialists distributed more than 206,000 units of naloxone, and the TDMHSAS has documented at least 26,000 lives saved because naloxone was distributed during that time. Now, this is targeting opioid addiction. This program is largely benefiting white people. This is a harm reduction program that Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn has in her state of Tennessee. But she was on Fox News attacking the harm reduction programs that are going to target African American communities and Latino communities to save their lives. And when these people were on Fox News attacking the harm reduction programs from the Biden administration, they didn't talk about the harm reduction programs they had in their states, like Louisiana and Florida and Tennessee. So you have to ask the question, well, wait a second here. What's going on? I'm on her page right now, looking at this nonsense. She had one tweet up. She may have taken it down because she had one tweet up that actually said crack pipes. Let me flip over. I'm gonna show you her Twitter page. See, these are the type of people. Now, what people have to understand is all these bills that you say you want, all these policies, people like Marsha Blackburn consistently vote against them. She voted. She's against the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. She voted against she voted against the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. She's against the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. She voted against the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. So a lot of these bills, see, there's a disconnect. There's a huge disconnect between okay, see, she still has this bullshit up right here. See, these are the type of people that must be voted out of office because they continue to lie and continue to vote against bills that African Americans say they want. This is from February 8th. She still hasn't taken this BS down. I'm gonna do a screenshot of this. I'm gonna put this. This is gonna be on my page during the when she's up for re-election. Okay, this is from February 8th. She still hasn't taken it down. This is how these people spread these lies. And she shared this from Fox News, which means, and it's still up, which means Fox News hasn't taken this BS down. Time for an intervention. The Biden administration was just caught using your taxpayer dollars to funnel crack pipes and more into poor communities. No, they weren't. You're lying. And she or whoever runs her Twitter page didn't have enough sense to take this down, and Fox News is still lying. This is from February 8th. Okay, I'm gonna do a screenshot of that too. All right. So this is, now she may have a fascination with crack. You know, that's on you. Maybe you should go to one of these harm reduction programs in your state of Tennessee. Now, after all the information came out, she still has this lie up on her Twitter page. Go research Senator Marsha Blackburn. You should know who these people are who keep voting against your interests. If this is the president's plan to address drug abuse, our nation is in serious trouble. Well, you have harm reduction programs in your state of Tennessee, Marsha Blackburn. Why don't you talk about that? Oh, but your harm reduction program is targeting white people because it's targeting opioid addiction. Go read this right here. This is from Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. She'll praise Dr. King on Dr. King Day, but then vote against the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and vote against the Freedom to Vote Act. Okay, I'm gonna squeeze in this last story here. Black Enterprise had this article up. Hopefully these ads won't pop up. This is a real story from Black Enterprise, not like the fake one they posted. They had to take down. So we know there was a rash of HBCU bomb threats January 31st and February 1st. HBCU leaders are saying that they are undeterred by a recent string of bomb threats. This is from February 9th, 2022. The presidents of HBCUs say they have received bomb threats recently, but remain undeterred and will continue working to educate Black Americans. Will remain undeterred and will continue to educate Black Americans. Alcorn State University President Felicia Nave said they are disappointed, they are traumatized, according to NPR National Public Radio, but they're resilient and they are resolved to continue to move forward and to make it known that we won't be threatened. We won't be scared away. We won't be threatened. We won't be scared away. Now, on February 5th, Saturday, February 5th, on the Cross Connection with Tiffany Cross, she did a segment dealing with this, dealing with the HBCU bombings and what's behind it. And also, the FBI has identified 6 juveniles, and some of them have some of the threats they were making were racial threats. Okay, so we're going to go to this clip here. We'll go to this clip here in just a second. Stand by. Let me cue this up.
Supposed to be a place where you can escape white supremacy. So I'm just
hold on. Let me. You know what? I'm gonna put that. Let's put that here in. We're gonna put that here in Google Chrome. We'll cue it up there. All right, just a second. Let me cue this up. All right, we'll go back to this article. So, while I cue that up, now Michelle Asher Cooper. Michelle Asher Cooper, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Higher Education Programs for the U.S. Department of Education, added that she believes the threats were made to scare HBCU schools. She believes the threats were made to scare HBCU schools. Florida Memorial University, the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, Norfolk State University, North Carolina Central University, Prairie View, A&M, Xavier University of Louisiana, received bomb threats in early January. In addition, Howard University, Bowie State University, Delaware State, Bethune-Cookman, Albany State Universities, Southern University, and A&M College all received bomb threats on February 1st, the first day of Black History Month. Now, no bombs or explosives were found on any of the HBCU campuses. The FBI identified 6 juveniles as persons of interest. The Associated Press reported one of the callers who phoned in a threat against Bethune-Cookman University claimed to be with the neo-Nazi group Atomwaffen Division. Okay. The investigation, quote, the investigation is of the highest priority of the Bureau and involves more than 20 FBI field offices across the country. The FBI said last week about its investigation into bomb threats at HBCUs. These threats are being investigated as racially or ethnically motivated violent extremism and hate crimes. These threats are being investigated as racially or ethnically motivated violent extremism and hate crimes. Okay, so check out the rest of this piece here from Black Enterprise. HBCU leaders say they are undeterred by recent string of bomb threats. All right, now I want to go to this clip here. This is from the Cross Connection with Tiffany Cross, and she's speaking with Thomas Hudson, president of Jackson State University, an HBCU, and she's also speaking with Malcolm Nance, anti-terrorism expert, Malcolm Nance. Okay, this is from February 5th, 2022. Let's go to this clip.
This campus is a nurturing safe haven. It's supposed to be a place where you can escape white supremacy. So I'm just curious from you, what is the mood on campus now?
Well, and thank you, first of all, for allowing this platform and really highlighting this very important issue. Thankfully, our students are not deterred. When you think about, what happened, the way it happened, and just what's been going on around the country, our students are not deterred. They're determined to continue their education. They're determined to continue to live about their dreams and go about their business. So I'm very thankful for the resiliency of our students here at Jackson State University.
That's really good to hear. And Malcolm, listen, you hear all these conversations about, oh, well, the old racists will die off and younger people will take over and we'll all live in harmony, but clearly not so much. There are a lot of young people who ascribe to white supremacy. They use these social media platforms and a lot of online gaming, use these as platforms to target these young folks. What's your thought on these 6 individuals who are juveniles, as you saw, who clearly targeted these schools, specifically HBCUs? It does not seem like white supremacy is dying off anytime soon.
White supremacy is certainly not dying off anytime soon now that it's been nationalized and turned into the platform ideology of one political party. So how do we make, let's look at it in the counterterrorism realm. What do we make of 6 juveniles who use their tech savviness to go out and actually threaten something that most people in the non-African American community would even know about, which is HBCUs? That means that they are part of an ideological movement. They are aware of the value of historically Black colleges, and they decided that they were going to make their mark in intimidating them. These young men and women, whoever they are, they made their point by attacking through the threats on the first day of African American History Month. This is not something that HBCUs have never seen before. There is a history of violence and threats against Black communities and Black colleges since the beginning of the first one. But we have to understand that there is a new generation that is out there. Groups like the Patriot Front who walk around with flags and khakis. They are young, and they are going to be and have proven just as violent as their fathers and grandfathers.
You're absolutely right, Malcolm. And Dr. Hudson, I just want to let you know that this show is run by HBCU folks. Our executive producer went to FAMU. I went to Clark. I'm curious because Malcolm makes a really good point. This has long been a challenge. Wilberforce University in Greene County, Ohio, was one of the country's oldest private HBCUs, and it faced an arson attack after the assassination of President Lincoln in 1865. This is very consistent. And I think, people did not realize how much HBCUs had been subject to this kind of terrorism. Why do you think these young folks targeted HBCUs in this way?
Well, when you think about the mission of HBCU, you're right, it's long been a safe haven for African Americans to access their education and really achieve their dreams. And that runs counter to the whole idea of white supremacy. So it's not surprising that you would take these venerable institutions and try to disrupt the learning. And that's really what it was about. It was about trying to disrupt the learning, disrupt the great things that are going on. There's been a renaissance, if you will, of people recognizing the true value of HBCUs and all that we produce. And there are a lot of people, there are some people who just want to run counter to that. I must, though, take exception to this idea and to the description of them as being these tech-savvy juveniles. These are cowards. These are cowards who, in the dead of night, early in the morning, call in bomb threats, and the entire idea is to shut down the campus, to keep our students from learning, to just provide some disruption in their actual workday and in the learning process. And again, we won't allow that to happen. We're going to be vigilant, remain safe. We're going to take all precautions. We had great support from federal, state, and local law enforcement in helping us deal with this issue, but we were determined to remain open. We did a full sweep. We took all precautions, but we were not going to be deterred from accomplishing and continuing with our mission. So, again, these are just cowards meant to disrupt the entire process. We are used to we have a whole history of this, and we're going to continue to work towards progress.
Yeah, the mantra of Clark, find a way or make one. Bomb threats don't stop us. HBCUs stand strong. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much to Malcolm Nance and Thomas Hudson of Jackson State University. Truly an important discussion. And just because no bombs were found, it does not mean harm was not done. The Washington Post had a great piece pointing that out. You had to divert resources and staff. So stand strong, HBCUs. We certainly stand with you on this show.
All right. Great segment from Cross Connection. That's from February 5th, 2022. That's at msnbc.com. All right. If you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $TheAHNShow, through Cash App, $TheAHNShow, through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/TheAHNShow. So we're 6 days a week. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting, pay some of the bills, etc. I'll post a link here. If you go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, we have the information right there on the homepage of our website. And you can also register for the online classes that I teach on Saturdays and Sundays. And all of my DVD lectures and digital downloads are at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay, so we have the information here. Okay, but Cash App and PayPal. So through Cash App, our official account is $ TheAHNShow, SHOW. And when you go to it, it says Michael, and it'll show my picture there. These other ones are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. And we also have the link here. And then we have the button here for PayPal as well. Okay, so if you want to donate $25, $50, $100, $5, what have you, definitely helps. And you can register for, if you want me to do a presentation for your group or organization, email me at AHNShow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. If you want to advertise your Black-owned business with the African History Network, email me as well. Current promotion, buy 1 month, get 2 months free. We have 3 new advertising packages. And the online courses that I teach, we have them in the bundle pack, so you can register for both classes for only $120. The classes are regularly $130 each. And once you register for the classes, you can watch as much as you want to, even after the classes are over with. You can still watch them. You still have access to the full classes. Okay. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch them anytime. So on Saturdays, is Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. And I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips. It's a ton of information in these classes. And we deal with ancient Africa, ancient Egypt, the Nile Valley region of Africa. We talk about Ghana, Songhai, and Mali. We look at the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. And we look at what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. Okay, so as soon as you register, you can watch the class we did last Saturday. We had a great class. Next class, Saturday, February 12th. I do the sessions 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click right here to register here. And then Sundays is from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. So we look at what happened to us after slavery ended, what happened after the Civil War ended, etc. Okay, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. I do that on Sundays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we look at the Reconstruction, 1865 to 1877, Jim Crow era, World War I, World War II, Great Migration, Civil Rights Movement, and Black Power Movement. To understand what happened to us after slavery ended, what were the laws and policies put in place to put us in the predicament we're in now, so we understand where we need to go from here. And we have the bundle pack also. You can register for both classes. You get both classes for $120. That's a $260 value. If you've taken classes with me before, email me at AHNShow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AHNShow@AfricanHistoryNetwork.com to get 50% off. Okay, if you've taken the classes with me before, and we'll get you enrolled in that. You can join us in class this weekend. All right, I'll be on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday, so look out for that, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Friday on the Black Star Media Network. Download that to your smartphones and your devices and Roku. And he'll also be broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube. Roland Martin on Facebook and YouTube. He'll be broadcasting there as well. All right, we have to get out of here. Remember, the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now, it's correct wrong behavior is not over till we win Wakanda forever.